why do we even collect physical media? Like, what's the point of collecting physical media, of looking at all this stuff behind me, all of these movies, all of these discs? Well, for me, it might sound silly. A big portion of it is to recapture that nostalgic feeling of going back to the video store. Going to the video store and pulling something off the shelf and going, wow, look at that cover, this really looks cool. Something like that, where you found out a lot about a lot of movies that you might not have just by looking at the cover. A lot of us are trying to recapture that nostalgic feeling, but for a lucky few in Bend, Oregon, you can go to the last Blockbuster, and I made my way out there sort of on a whim to go visit some friends, and I went to the last Blockbuster to go check it out and see if it had that feeling of going to the video store before. So yeah, I went to go find basically what is at my heart of collecting physical media and what the community, the heart really is. And I know there's a lot of people out there that don't like Blockbuster. They don't think that Blockbuster was good. Well, in a field where Netflix is now the biggest thing, we might all want to have Blockbuster back now, don't we? But I went through, and you can check out here, I'm going to go through. We can walk through the last Blockbuster together, so let's get to it. So what are we looking at here? We've got basically the purchase section of the last Blockbuster with a VHS table for VHS tapes for $2. And they had plenty of merchandise here, plenty of stuff, plenty of physical media movies, copies of Finding Dory, all of that. And this was just the sale section, and you can actually rent movies here. You can get a video card and rent movies. Somebody was there renting a movie when I was there, and they tried to rent a Blu-ray, and the guy was like, do you have a Blu-ray player? And he said, no. And so he said, oh, you might want to grab the DVD copies of stuff, but you can also rent a Blu-ray player. And the guy ended up renting a Blu-ray player. But here's more VHS tapes, lots of them. Casablanca, all rewound, thankfully. Be Kind Rewind is still something that goes on at Blockbuster or video stores. But yeah, we've got the actual rental section here, and this was just the around the sides, and you can see this sort of look of the store. It really was something that felt like a Blockbuster. It smelled like a Blockbuster. It smelled like that sort of faint popcorn, smell of just what Blockbusters used to smell like, those tubs of popcorn that you would buy. And then, of course, lots of banners and nostalgic stuff here. This is the last Blockbuster, so there was a documentary made about it, so there's a bunch of costumes and merchandise here. You could buy t-shirts and sweatshirts and fanny packs and all of that. Here's an NES with Blockbuster theming, Dreamcast memory card there, some other video games. There were no video games to rent or buy, which I was kind of disappointed by, but what can you do? You know, this place, they have to have movies, and renting out new games isn't really a thing anymore because they're all on digital. So that's the most disappointing part about it for me. But a lot of stuff here, movie memorabilia, Blockbuster memorabilia, and just kind of sad to see, because this used to be the place where people would go at all times of their life to go and rent movies. You would go on Friday night. I didn't have a Blockbuster that I would go to a lot. I went to Hollywood Video myself. But yeah, here's a classic Blockbuster sign. But I went to Hollywood Video myself. But still, the feeling is the same of going on a Friday night after you ask your mom or your dad and you say, hey, can we go? And you would go and I'd rent a game and a bunch of movies. And this is how, life was back in the 90s and early 2000s. And this was a replication of that feeling. They had DVDs everywhere. They had movies that were taken out, and so you couldn't look at the cover. And just the feeling, the paint on the walls, everything about this is a working Blockbuster, but it feels like a time capsule. It feels like a physical media time capsule, which is the best part about this, is a physical media head. You had Freddy vs. Jason right there. That would have scared the crap out of me as a kid, by the way. I would have not walked by that as a kid. I was so scared of Freddy and Jason. I would not have walked by that, or I would have had to have my mom with me or something like that. I would have been that scared, yes. Cut to me loving horror movies now. I don't know how I got to that point. But yes, they had a place here too where you could buy empty Blockbuster cases for DVDs. If they had VHS cases here, maybe I would have gotten one, because that was the more nostalgic feeling for me. And this section of the store really hit for me. The only thing that I would give as a critique to this section was that the TV is a flat screen. It should be a CRT. But everything about this is what we all want out of our physical media rooms, isn't it? We want that replication, that time capsule of how we used to feel as a kid when we were watching things, and this really does capture that. It really does do it. Here's where they had new movies for sale with slipcovers, steelbooks, all of that. Now, the prices were a bit high. Obviously, you can get stuff like this, especially if it's not sealed, for cheaper. They even had Criterion Collection stuff, which was pretty surprising to me. More Blockbuster merch. I think those were kids' sizes. If they had that tie-dye shirt in an adult size, I would have bought it. But Criterion Collection, a little Era video section, just all over the place here with some great titles. And yeah, I grabbed one title because I did have to fly. I didn't want to carry a bunch of stuff with me. I will show that later in the video, of course. But yeah, we had all of this stuff here that it kind of felt weird to be able to buy the movies just directly, because that's not how it used to be. You know, you would go to Blockbuster not to pay $25 to buy one movie, but to pay $25 or less and rent a bunch of movies and rent some games. And here's just another one of their sort of end caps where they had some nostalgic stuff in it, and just all around, like, more merch. Obviously, that's what a big part of this is that people do make the pilgrimage out here to go to Blockbuster to just check it out. And I'm sure the people in Bend love having it here to be able to rent a movie from every once in a while. When, you know, you want to rent a movie and pop in some DVDs, you can do that. And they had an excellent horror section as well, some Masters of Horror DVDs here. I was interested in getting some of these, but they didn't have like a full selection. There was just volumes, and there's the documentary. Some new releases that are coming out. Yes, they do have new releases coming out. And they're advertising them. They had a nice section of box sets here, stuff like that. Just all around, this was, yes, it was a Blockbuster, but it was more than that. It was more than what it felt like with this, basically. It was kind of emotional for me to go back and see all of this stuff and see a place like this. One of the employees noticed I was wearing an Evil Dead flannel and talked to me about a release of Evil Dead that came with the boomstick. And then I talked to him about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre version that came with the chainsaw. He talked to me about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 from Vinegar Syndrome. It was just a place that I would recommend any physical media fan to go to because it was awesome. As for what I grabbed at the Blockbuster, I did say I bought one thing. I bought a t-shirt as well, but I didn't have Halloween 2018 on 4K, and I didn't have it with the slipcover, and now I have it with the slipcover with a Blockbuster price sticker on it. And so I'm never taking this sticker off, the slipcover. Normally I would hate this. I'd be like, why God, why are they putting a freaking sticker on my slipcover? But this will remind me of the day that I went to the last Blockbuster every time I pull this movie out to watch it. So I was super glad to get Halloween 2018 back in my collection. Came with the slipcover. The slipcover's in pretty reasonable shape. I was surprised a lot of their movies had the slipcovers on them, which was cool. So if you're ever in the area and you want to check out and see if they have some studio titles with the slipcover, that's what you can do. I also got a t-shirt. I love t-shirts. I love them as ways to remember things, take pictures, whatever. And it's just a walking memory of when I went to the last Blockbuster, and I got a t-shirt here with nothing on the back, but bringing friends together since 1985, Blockbuster. And I know Blockbuster put out a lot of family videos, out of business and all of that, but this trip to me was just so much fun to go down here because it was a walk down memory lane. I felt like, an 8-year-old again, looking at all the movies and all the stuff on the walls. And that section where it's, the time capsule is really what I want to have out of my collection and what I do, why I do this. Because at the end of the day, we're all collecting for a reason. Some of it's financial for some people, which, if you ask me, that's a little weird. Some of it is to have the best possible video quality. And for me, it's to have that little slice of the video store back in your life at one point or another. And so walking in here and looking at a box set or at something on my shelf, that really makes it worth it for me in the end. And so the last Blockbuster, I cannot recommend it enough, especially for people that love physical media or that love movies, because it's just a magical place. Really it is. And the fact that it's a working Blockbuster. This isn't just some gimmick pop-up bullcrap like we get with plenty of nostalgia baiting things these days, especially out here in Los Angeles. We get a pop-up restaurant or a pop-up Blockbuster bar, which I did go to as well when that was available all the time. And this is a functional Blockbuster store. And so obviously it's a novelty. It's not going to bring Blockbuster back. It's not going to bring the video store back. But still, this was really a way for people to go back to their youth and show, hey, this is how we used to do it before streaming. If you wanted a movie, you had to go rent it from Blockbuster. So what do you think of Blockbuster? Are you sad that Blockbuster is gone? Do you miss the video store? I certainly do. So let me know in the comments, and let me know if you've been to the last Blockbuster, if you live in Oregon and you rent from the last Blockbuster. I love to hear about physical media stuff from all the people that watch my videos. And if you like this video about collecting physical media and you want some tips on how to do it, I personally had to rebuild my collection from scratch after losing it in the Eaton fire, so I've used these tips myself. So check out that playlist right here if you want some more tips on how to rebuild your physical media collection.